Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So tonight I am going to make lentils, and some people are intimidated by making lentils or dry legumes of any kind, but I'm here to tell you it's really not that intimidating. And if you're completely new to cooking with dry legumes and things like that, my suggestion is to start with lentils if you like lentils, because lentils, you don't have to soak them. Versus like if you make like a pinto bean or a red bean or something like that, you really do need to soak it overnight. There are people that say that you really don't have to, but it takes a long time to cook if you don't soak them. And they don't, for me, they don't come out as tender. So so lentils is a good place to start. And because of everything that's going on, I think probably a lot of people have dried things now that they're trying to learn how to cook. And I've been cooking with this kind of stuff for a long time. I didn't grow up with my mom making lentils or dry beans. Once in a while she would make pinto beans, like for a refried bean, but that wasn't until later on in my teen years. So this is just something that I've been doing for a lot of years, and I'm going to show you guys how I do it. So these are the lentils that I will be using. I actually got these for free from volunteering at the food pantry. I also know some other people that got these from the food pantry, and they don't either like lentils, or a lot of people don't know how to make lentils or dry beans or anything like that. And it can be a little intimidating, and it seems like it's a little bit of work, but this big bag will feed me for a long time. Now, my husband does not eat lentils. He actually doesn't like beans or anything like that either, any kind of legume. So the reason I'm making so many, which I've stated in other videos, is it saves time, money, energy, all that kind of stuff. So if I'm gonna make lentils, I'm gonna make this entire bag, and then I will eat on it for a few days, and then I will freeze the rest in individual containers. So then I have it ready to go when I'm in the mood for lentils, and don't feel like doing this whole process again. So I don't usually soak my lentils overnight. I know some people do. Some people just rinse them off really well and then soak them. But I am going to show you guys how I make lentils. So here are my lentils in my colander, and I've already sorted through them. Just like any dry bean or legume, you want to sort through them to make sure that there's no rocks or foreign matter in there. The sorting machines do a pretty good job, but it's always a good idea to just double check. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse these really well with water, and that's basically it. You don't have to soak lentils. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse these and get back to you guys. I am going to cut up half an onion, just small cuts, and I am going to put it in, this is the biggest pot that I have. I'm going to put it in here with a little bit of coconut oil. You could use butter, you could use oil, margarine, whatever it is that you cook with. I personally mostly cook with coconut oil. And this is actually some coconut oil that I got out of the dumpster a while ago. So I'm going to use that to saute my onions. So I have the onions browning. I'll show you those in a minute. I am going to add this Rotel. This is just diced tomatoes with green chilies. You don't have to add tomato. You could do fresh tomato. You could do canned tomato. It doesn't have to be the green chili kind. You could do tomatoes and then a can of green chilies. It's really versatile. I just like that taste that it brings to it. It brings a different depth of flavor. And I am also using some chicken broth. You could just use water and seasoning, but since I have chicken broth on hand, that is what I'm going to be using. And if I think I need more, I have these beef bouillon cubes. You could also do this with vegetable stock, or like I said, just seasoning. It's totally up to you. So here I've got my coconut oil and my onions just going to give them a little bit of color, just a little bit of caramelization, and then I will add the water and this stuff and the lentils. And I really just follow the instructions on the container. It says for each pound, add 6 to 8 cups. It depends if you like yours soupy or not. And then simmer. I find that it takes longer than 20 minutes, especially when you're doing this large amount. So, yeah. So we follow the instructions mostly. So I have everything in the pot. I used 13 cups of water and the can of chicken stock. I put in the can of Rotel and the lentils are in there, and I just finished seasoning. What I used was some garlic and some just garlic powder, and I used some cumin, and I used this Caribbean jerk just to give it a little bit of spice. I used a bay leaf, I used some crushed rosemary, and I used some salt. Now, you could use any variety of things. You could use curry if you want to make this like an Indian lentil soup or dish. I don't have any curry, so I'm just using what I have. And remember, make it to what your taste buds are, what you like. I also added 3 of these bouillon cubes. These are just beef bouillon cubes, and I actually got these out of the dumpster a while back. And I am going to let this come to a boil, which it's pretty close to doing, and then I will turn it down and let it simmer. Okay, there it's boiling, and as you guys can see all the seasonings, and it's really starting to go, so I'm going to turn this down so that it can simmer. And I wish you guys could smell this, but you can really smell the seasoning. So when you're doing things like lentils or beans or any kind of legume type thing, they require a lot of seasoning because it's just a dry good. It has nothing but it's nothing but a lentil or nothing but a bean. So, you don't want to over season either, because you don't want to spend all this time and then it just be like over salted. But, you know, just remember, do a lot of seasoning, like a good amount, and then as it's cooking and as the lentils are softening and they're absorbing the liquid and the seasoning, you can always add more. But just remember, you can't take it away, but you can always add more. So I've got it turned down now, so it's going to start to simmer, and then we will come and check on it in a little while. Okay guys, so my lentils have been cooking for about 2.5 hours. So like when I showed you the package and I said, it says on here 15-20 minutes, that's a lie. I don't know who can cook lentils in 20 minutes. If you guys can, put it down in the comments. But for me, lentils take a couple of hours. But maybe that's also because I'm making 2 pounds at a time. But the container said even if you're doing 1 pound, it should be 20 minutes. So that would be 40. But I don't know. So I'm going to show you guys. Mine are pretty much done. I just have them on low right now because they're very soupy, which is fine because I'm going to eat mine over rice. But yeah, I just want to cook them down just a little bit more. So here they are. As you can see, they're very bubbly. Let me get the overhead light on. And it kind of looks like chili. As you can see by the watermark up there, that's how far up the water was. So it's in 2.5 hours, that's as much as it's shrunk down, which really isn't that much. But if you don't like your lentils as soupy, then you could use less water. I prefer them like this. 1, because I will eat them over rice, and 2, because the leftovers will go in the freezer. And I found that the drier your beans and lentils are, they're not as good for frozen leftovers later. It's not that they aren't good, but I feel like they hold the flavor better and they just hold up better in the freezer if it's a little more liquid. Just to me. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's all bubbly, and as I said, this was about 2.5 hours of it. It was on a roaring boil, and then I turned it down to a bubbling simmer for about 2 of those hours. two of the hours, and then the first half hour was it getting up to the boil. I also wanted to mention that as it was cooking, as the lentils started to soften, I was tasting it for flavor, and I added a package of onion soup mix. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you know I pretty much add the onion soup mix to everything. So I added that, and I added a little more cumin, just to give it a little bit more flavor. Because I'm not going to season my rice at all. I'm just going to use plain white rice with just water, not butter or anything like that. So then the rice will really help soak up that extra flavor. But again, you want to season it to what your preferences are. As I said, I've actually never even bought curry, but because you could make this into an Indian dish very easily and get curry, or you could more Americanize it or even make it an Asian dish. You do whatever you want to it. Just remember, whatever flavors that you like and that your family will eat. You could make this extremely spicy. You could make this not spicy at all. So it's very, very versatile. Okay, so it's been about 3 hours since I showed you guys the pot before. What I do is I turn off the burner, and then I let it sit on the burner with a lid for about 2 or 3 hours, just so that it cools down naturally. And this is what it looks like. And it's a good thickness. I'm going to show you guys. See, look. This is exactly how I like it. Still kind of soupy, but it's much less watery than when I showed you guys before. And this will be perfect over some beans, or over some rice, or over some pasta, or by itself, or however you guys want to do it. I think it needs a little bit of salt, but I like a lot of salt. So what I'll do is I'll probably just add salt on top of my meal after I cook up the rice. And it's really, really tasty. I am about to cook my rice. I am using my Power Cooker Express. My husband and I bought this maybe 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago on Black Friday. I don't remember. I think we paid like $20 for it. You can cook a bunch of things in it, as you can see from the dial, but I usually cook rice in it. So I have 2 cups of dried white rice and 4 cups of water, and I added a little bit of salt and a little bit of Mrs. Dash's, but I'm not going to add any oil this time around. And I'm going to lock this in, make sure this is on seal because I've done that before, and I'm going to put it on the little rice dial and let that cook so that I can eat that alongside my lentils. Here's the rice all cooked. As you guys can see, that 2 cups made a ton of rice, so I will be eating on this the next few days. And here is the finished product. This is some rice with some lentils, and this will be my lunch for work tomorrow. It turned out really good, and between the rice and the lentils, that'll be a lot of lunches and dinners to come. Okay guys, so that was me showing you how to make some lentils. Again, don't be intimidated by making them. They're actually very easy. The only thing that's difficult is getting the flavor profile right, because you hate to spend all that time and energy on cooking and then the flavor just not be quite right. So it might take some time, and you might have to tweak it and different things like that. And just remember, make stuff to your liking. And I'm trying to encourage you guys to use up what you have and this is a perfect time to use what we have, to get creative, to go outside of our comfort zone, make things in mass. You know, if you guys have a ton of stuff in your house, you could make some meals and freeze them, and, you know, or whatever, or get the kids involved if you have kids at home right now. And don't be intimidated to try to make something new. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you will consider subscribing to my channel and joining my YouTube family, and check me out on Instagram, The Frugal Life with Mercedes. And until next time, guys, bye.